a lot of people that we meet with, they sit down with their advisor, every 4, 5, 6 months, and they talk about what the return is and what's happening in the market and if they should increase their risk, reduce their risk. But how many of you actually have your retirement plan in writing where if we were to have a correction like 2008, which I know a lot of people listening have not forgotten about that. If we have a correction like 2022, but instead of the market bouncing back quickly, what if it takes 13 years like it did in 2008 for the S&P 500? What does that actually look like? And so one of the things I would just encourage you is to have a written plan that you can look at. What is your risk tolerance? And again, it doesn't mean that you have to move all of your money into a CD. Maybe you stay 90% stock, and Yelisey, I'll let you focus on that, being that that's your area in our office. But, whatever your risk level is, what does that look like if we have a bull market? What does it look like if we have a bear market? When I look at my arena, which is safe investments, one of the things that people always ask is, when is a good time to go from high risk to moderate risk or high risk to moderate aggressive? And it really depends on what are your expenses, how willing are you to take risk, and what does the current environment look like? So get that plan in writing, have it so that you and your spouse can take a look at it. And I think one of my favorite things is when people leave our office, Yelisey, the families that we serve, and they say, hey, I never have more peace around my finances than when I come in to meet with you guys. And really, we want that for everybody. So step number 1 is get your plan in writing and update it often. What do you want to add to that?
I like a lot of what you had to say. I think that, those unforeseen challenges, whether it's, whether it's market related or whether it's just life related, we've been doing this long enough to know that everybody faces those. Sometimes they're a little bit more unique to you, and sometimes it's just kind of what retirees face. So I think having peace in retirement and having somebody that you can partner with that can help you, whether it's by having a good plan in place. But the other thing I really like that you said is reviewing it every 6 months, because life changes, things change for you too. And, one of the things that I always thought was interesting, the Washington Post and a number of different outlets have talked about this, but the risk of stroke and heart attack among those who retire compared to people who've been working. But I think like that risk goes up I think it's like 40% or something crazy. And it's strongest in the first year of retirement. That's kind of wild, So I did a little bit of digging, and I'm interested to see what your thoughts are on this. But, in 1967, there were 2 psychiatrists, Thomas Holmes and Richard Ray, and they put together the 43 most stressful life events that a person can experience. And each of the life events has a corresponding score right next to it. And the idea is you're supposed to mark any of those that have affected you or maybe that you've experienced. And what they found was that actually, according to their list, retirement was the 10th most stressful life event in this list of 43. Why does it have to be so stressful? One of the things that we talk about is financial peace in retirement. How can we create more peace? How can we put together a plan that can actually, that can weather the storms of life, however unpredictable they might be, and making sure that you partner with somebody that can help you navigate that. It's just, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Having retirement be the 10th most stressful life event?
Man, I would guess that it's higher up than number 10. When we meet with families, I would say if you just think about major life events, let's think about what they are. 1 is when you get married, probably. Number 2 is when you have kids. And then the next biggest change is probably retirement. You go from spending 30, 35, 40 plus years, or if you're like my grandfather, he worked 63 years, which is wild, to now all of a sudden, instead of adding money to retirement accounts, brokerage accounts, Roth accounts, increasing your Social Security benefit, increasing the pension, now all of a sudden your paycheck stops. This source you've gotten, whether you get paid weekly, every 2 weeks, bi-weekly, 26 times a year, or as commissions come in. And now all of a sudden, for the first time in your life, instead of adding money to your retirement nest egg, you're actually taking money out.
Yeah.
So I would say, the families that we meet with, it's probably in the top 3 to 5, outside of those that have had a health scare, something significant, which we've had in my family. But I guess I would say is that the change is significant and you want to do it right. You've worked too hard for too long to have stress retiring, it actually should be a celebration. You should be walking into not the unknown, but you should be walking into the known because you have a written plan and you have a team of financial advisors, tax strategists, a Social Security expert, a Medicare expert that's doing holistic planning to make sure that everything lines up for you. And a lot of our listeners know, but I'll just say this. If you don't have a financial planning firm that does everything in a one-stop shop, we call it holistic planning, that's something that you should consider, whether it's working with us or another firm that has everything in one place. Because one of the things that I've found is if you have a team of specialists that work under the same roof, you don't end up having to be that middle person talking, to your tax person of what your advisor said, or to your advisor what your tax person said, or to your Medicare agent on what your advisor said fit as far as the budget. If all of those people can share your information and put together a plan for you that's holistic, man, that's something that is worth taking a look at. So I just want to encourage people, if you've never had a second opinion from an office that does everything in one place, Yelisey and I would love to walk through that with you to see if we can add value to you. We're not a fit for everybody, and not everybody's a fit for us, but that complementary analysis is a good way to see, is there something that you're missing?